I'm going to talk about an old married couple. Uh, so, Digimon video, obviously. This is going to be me talking about Jijimon and Babamon from Digimon Tamers. um, they appear in a grand total of 2 episodes, one of which is basically a cameo. Um, and I've always loved them, and they're really fun characters. So, Jijimon and Babamon are of course reference to like Jijimon and Baba. Gigi and like Baba are like a reference to like an old man and an old woman. So they're supposed to be like an old man and an old woman in Digimon form, and they're hilarious because so Babamon, who is kind of the female one, she is a mega level. Yes, mega level. They're both mega level. Mega level Digimon that resembles an old woman. And kind of the Dex entry backstory that we have on her from like some of the games is that an ancient Digimon that has the appearance of an old woman. It is rumored that a Rosemon was cursed and turned into this form. It has the special move Empress Haze, which completely erases evil viruses with a single swing of the magic broom it holds in its right hand. Bro, she's a witch. Burn the witch. She's a witch. Oh boy. And Jijimon is, again, he's a mega level Digimon. Looks like an old man. And the kind of the Digidex entry on him is an elder Digimon that is said to have existed since the era in which the digital world was created and knows everything about it. It apparently guides chosen humans whenever the world faces a crisis. Although it hides incomparable power, it rarely ever exhibits its true strength. Its special move is sending those with evil hearts to a land of the dead. Oh God. And with its cherished staff, Hand of Death, Hang on Death. So, Babamon's weapon is a broom. Jijimon's weapon is a stick with a paw on it. You can see why this Digimon pair very much fascinate me. Just particularly for the way that they're used in Digimon Tamers. And for reference, I'm not going to go through and do like a specific video about every single one of all the other Digimon that they end up interacting with. I did Calamon because Calamon is very much an integral part of this. Jijimon and Babamon here are just because I really, really like them and they're just really, really funny. And then I'll do like a different video where I talk about all the, I don't know if I'm going to do ones where I talk about all the other Digimon that help them, because there's some that they're not really around very long, or we don't really get that much of an interaction with them, so don't really plan on doing those. I still have to do ones about the Digimon Sovereign, so that'll probably be coming up. But so in the context of Digimon Tamers, we meet them when Rika, Renamon, Kazu, and Kenta have been separated from the rest of the group. They got sucked into one of the digital wormhole things, and they get dropped into this valley area in the digital world where it is exceedingly windy, and they end up going into one of these like little huts that's down there, where they end up finding Jijimon and Babamon, who basically just their pastime is fighting each other whenever, for entertainment, whenever there are these exceedingly windy days. Old married couple. And, they're just running around, bashing each other with their broom and their claw and the stick and everything. And it's just exceedingly funny, and I love them. And, Rika and the others get in there, get into the home area where they are. They're just like, oh, well, this is different. Do you want to fight? They're like, hey, well, why don't we fight them instead of fight each other? How about not? And then they end up cooking a meal for the kids, which is very nice of them. And it's just like it gives them something else to do beyond like deal with each other and fight. So they just have fun with the kids. As I said, they make them a nice meal. Kazu and Kenta take a bath and end up singing in the bathtub in their giant bath hot spring room, which they just find entertaining. Rika and Babamon like just have a bit of a conversation about what's going on, which is nice interactions between them, and I just really like. And what ends up happening is I don't remember if they stay the night or if it's just like after dinner or whatever. They're just like, okay, well, Rika's kind of like, we're gonna have to get going pretty soon. So she goes up with Renamon like after the wind stops, and she's trying to figure out a way to get them out of like the little valley thing that they're in. And Kazu and Kenta end up actually asking Jijimon and Babamon, because earlier on they had kind of had the thought that like, well, what if Jijimon and Babamon are actually like bad Digimon and they're trying to like fatten us up so they can eat us or something. And it's like they sneak out of their bed in the middle of the night and they go and see Jijimon and Babamon talking with each other, and they're just like, it's like the old couple in the rocking chairs. It's just like, it's so nice having visitors, isn't it? Oh, yes, they were so entertaining. Very nice, very polite young children. All of that, young whippersnappers. And, like, just all that fun, and, Kazu and Kenta feel bad that they thought that, like, that Jijimon and Babamon were actually going to try to, like, hurt them or something. They feel bad about it. And, like, I think they end up apologizing the next day, like, while Rika's out trying to figure out how to get them out of the valley. Out of the very windy valley. And they end up actually asking Jijimon and Babamon if they would be their partners. So Kenta asks Babamon and Kazu asks Jijimon. And they get it all mixed up and confused because Jijimon and Babamon end up acting more like the Tamers than acting like the Tamers to how Kazu and Kenta are. And like they end up like dressing up, like Kazu and Kenta end up like dressing up, and like Kenta's like, Mega Mighty Kentamon. And Kazu is like, Black War Kazumon. As I've stated before, these two are somewhat idiots. At times. And then they have good moments at times too. And like they end up just like having fun, and they end up like running around, like they each have like the broom or the stick, and they're like fighting each other and everything. And then like Renamon and Rika show back up, and they're just like, okay, playtime's over. Playtime is over. Come on, you two. And Renamon actually kind of has to because like Jijimon and Babamon are like following them because they don't want them to take away their Digimon, their partners. Obviously that's not exactly how it works. I mean, yes, I guess in some cases you could ask a Digimon to be your partner, but as we've seen with Tamers, it's more sometimes you do have to build that bond. And I'm not saying that like Kazu and Kenta wouldn't have been good to have as partners with Jijimon and Babamon, but it's just it didn't work out the way that they wanted it to. It didn't quite go well. It was funny and entertaining. And Renamon actually ends up kind of like knocking them down the stairs when they're trying to leave, because they're trying to like escape them, and like they're trying to drag Kazu and Kenta with them out of the like underground house that they live in. And then like Rika and Renamon had been able to build like this kite out of a bunch of the different cloth that's all over the place in the village, and they're going to use the kite when the wind comes to like fly up out of the valley. And they're ready to do that, and then Jijimon and Babamon show up and they grab onto the kite, and then they end up getting like knocked off and fall back down into their house, where they just continue to fight each other. But then they pause and they're just like, how about we sing that nice song that they sang? And then they just start singing the song that Kazu and Kenta were singing when they were in the bath. Yeah. And then later on, after the team have all, reunited with each other, and they've, talked with the Digimon Sovereign and everything, and like Calamon, it's revealed that Calamon is the catalyst and everything, and Calamon agrees to help them and uses, his shining Digivolution to like mega evolve a bunch of the other Digimon that are in the digital world so they can show up and come and help fight the D Reaper. And Jijimon and Babamon show up there, like they're riding, like Babamon's on her broom and Jijimon's on like the stick, like riding it like a broom, like a witch does. And they show up there. I think they like wave at them, but they don't like really interact with them. I think we get like a couple of lines out of them or something like that, but there's not very much. And like they show up to help fight the D Reaper, as do a whole bunch of these other mega level Digimon, and the Sovereigns and everything are there to help fight the D Reaper. So that way the kids are able to then leave and head back to the real world. And what we end up, kind of what you can deduce from that is because of what we end up seeing later on with as like torn apart as the digital world became, is that hopefully Jijimon and Babamon survived. We never get any indication that they didn't, but there is a fair, given how strong the D Reaper was, there's a very good chance that some of them did not survive. That some of the mega level Digimon that showed up to help them did not survive. Or at the very least got exceedingly injured and like knocked back down a couple of levels. So yeah, unfortunately, but headcanon, they survived via their stubbornness, and they end up going back to their windy little village and just continued to fight each other when they get bored. And like throughout the course of the episode where they're like fighting each other, it's just like, like their broom and claw cross, and it's just like, I love you so much, and they're just like fighting against each other. And in the English dub, this is very, very something that they did on purpose. I don't know if it's something that they planned from the Japanese dub. I would assume that that would be an easy thing to translate from the English dub into the English dub from the Japanese dub, that they shouldn't really need to change that. Because they already give off the vibe of an old married couple with the way that they act. And just if you watch the animation, you kind of get that. But in the English dub, they have them based off of Miracle Max and his wife Valerie from the Princess Bride movie. So you have my approval there. You have a Digimon that is somewhat based off of Billy Crystal. So, yeah, they're supposed to be based off of that. I'm not a, get back, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. And then like chasing each other around the house. And I love Princess Bride. I love those two characters. They're great. They're around for like one scene, and they're so great because like it's Billy Crystal in a bunch of makeup, and he steals the show. He's great. I love him. I love Billy Crystal. And so like they're based on that. And I don't really know exactly. I don't know if it I don't know how big of a, how popular Princess Bride is in Japan, but I know that at least in the English dub, that's what they base those two on. I don't know if they did that in the Japanese dub as well, or if they just went like with the old married couple vibe, and then just kind of like that translated well, and then like just the English dub people that were in charge of it were like, well, why don't we make them kind of act a little bit like, Miracle Max and Valerie from, from Princess Bride, go down that route. I mean, given the fact that we don't really see their mouths move all that much, or they both have their mouths partly covered and everything, it wouldn't be that hard to do it and do the dub that way and, like, shift some stuff around a little bit that way. That wouldn't be very hard. So, if they did that, that was, it was a clever way of doing it. I don't know if they shifted anything around necessarily too much in that regard. But yeah, I mean, like, it would have been interesting seeing them as Kazu and Kenta's actual partners. But, we know that Kazu ends up later on with, Andromon, but, you know, the less, Gardamon. Gardamon ends up with that, and then of course Kenta ends up with, you know, Marine Angemon. So, you know, it's like he still gets Omega as his partner, so, you know, that part was correct. But, you know, maybe at some point in time when when like the Digimon had to return to the digital world after the end of after the end of the season, you know, maybe when they returned to the digital world, maybe at some point in time, like they found Jijimon and Babamon or whatever, you know, Renamon went and found them or whatever, you know, kind of gave them an update on what happened, or I don't know. We never see them again. It's kind of like the same thing. It's not like with Digimon Adventures, where like when we got like later on when we got Adventures 2.0, or like, you know, some of the movies that we've gotten and stuff like that, like, you know, with Adventures Try and stuff. It's not like we, you know, since with Tamers we only got like the one movie that happened later on, we don't ever really get any like additional information as to what happened to some of these other Digimon. Admittedly, these ones would kind of be the only ones that I would at least like to know whether or not they're still like alive, because as I mentioned before, when it comes to Digimon Tamers, there does not seem to be that reincarnation cycle that happens, that we see happen in Digimon Adventures and in Digimon Frontier, where there's not this ability for them to, you know, if they're destroyed, you know, their data can, you know, re-enter the cycle and, you know, become an egg again and then turn back into a new Digimon. You know, that doesn't seem to be the case of what we get in Digimon Tamers. That's a very unique thing about that season, that doesn't seem to be a part of it. I don't know. I don't remember there being anything like that in some of the other Digimon ones, but there's a bunch of the other Digimon series that I have not seen yet. I do know, side note, I know that there is a more newer version of Digimon Adventures, an anime where they think they kind of like streamlined it a little bit and like added in some additional things. And I believe that has been announced that it is going to be getting an English dub. So that might be something I end up watching, and then maybe I'll do something where I talk about it. But at the moment, I don't know. At the moment, I'm still working on all the Tamers stuff, and then eventually I'll get into the Digimon Frontier, but I'll probably do like a break between end of Digimon Tamers and beginning of Digimon Frontier when I get to that. But yeah, there's not really too much else I can say about Jijimon and Babamon. I just wanted to do a video about them because I find them hilarious. And I just love the concept of them arguing like an old married couple. I've just always liked that. Because Kazu and Kenta actually kind of give off some of those same vibes as well, with the way that they kind of, you know, interact with each other a little bit. Also in Digimon, like, they don't generally tend to do like genders on the Digimon. Barring, you know, certain exceptions where like, well, that's clearly a male Digimon, or that's clearly like a female Digimon, like when it comes to like Angemon and Lilithmon and, you know, things like that, where it's like, well, they're clearly biologically they look female, or in other cases, well, they clearly biologically look male, but Digimon, of course, are kind of, you know, able to like move through that a little bit more because, you know, gender is not an exact requirement in Digimon, as Renamon states. But like, I like the fact that they do give off the old married couple setup, and that's just funny. So that's what I have. Shorter video, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and thank you for watching. Bye.